Hi, in this video I will go through how you can onboard a new vendor within your .legal compliance platform. We will begin at the vendor tab in your menu, where you will be able to find a list of all the vendors that you have already created. You can of course always create a new vendor by selecting Create Legal Entity, give it a name, mark which country the vendor is based in, and then press Create. Now this new vendor have already been created, so if I navigate back to the vendor tab, I will be able to find my new vendor in the list of vendors. When I open the vendor, I can see the information that I have already registered on the vendor. In the upper right corner, I can say Edit Company, which will bring me to the same flow as you just saw before when I created the vendor from the beginning. And here you have the possibility to add several other informations to the vendor, such as who is responsible for the vendor and which type of audits do you want to carry out with this particular vendor. So let's say that I would like an audit statement from this vendor and in a frequency yearly, then I can register that. And these informations are of course crucial when I start my audit process at a later point. If I go back to the overview of the vendor, I have as well the possibility to upload documentation. This could, for instance, be a data processor agreement with the vendor. I can name the agreement, I can give it a status, and I can select which type of agreement it is or document. And I can as well here select an owner of the document. It's possible to upload a document. It could be a PDF or a Word document, and you can also refer to a link. So if I just do that like this, then you can link to a SharePoint folder or similar. When I save it, the document will now be represented on the vendor page. The next part, this could be when I, for instance, is in an onboarding flow with a new vendor or a potential new vendor. I can create different types of assessments and classifications. How to create an assessment, both a pre-classification of a vendor, but also frequent audits, I will show in another video. But in this particular demo, I will show you how to create a classification of a vendor. Because of course you are interested in making your own assessment of how critical is this particular vendor within different areas. You can add a classification down here and select in a list of classification templates that you create yourself. Just in a second, I will show you how to define classification templates. I have one, and I will select that one here, and then I will press Save. Now you can answer the classification. You do so by selecting Answer Classification. My template is in Danish, so I'm sorry that the question is answered in Danish, but it will of course be in the language that you use the platform in. So in this example, I have answered the questions for my classification template, and now I can submit. And of course, I can select other answers as well. And when I select Submit, I will navigate back to the classification tab on this vendor. Here I now can see that I have gotten a score and I have gotten a risk level based on my classification of this vendor. So these templates can be within different areas. It can be within data protection, it could be within IT security, cybersecurity, or other parts that you want to make classifications within. You have the full flexibility to create the classification templates that make sense for you. When you navigate to Settings, you can find Vendor Classifications, and here you will have a list of all the vendor classification templates that you have in use. The ones with the status active is the ones you can use on a vendor, and you can add a standard template from the platform, for instance, our standard data processor classification, and you can create your own, of course. It works like this. So this is the template. You will be represented for the questions that needs to be answered on a vendor. You can edit the questions, you can edit which type of inputs is needed, and you can edit how important is each question. When you're done with that, you can activate the template, and now it will be possible, I need to give it a name, but when I have activated, it will be possible to use this on a vendor. So now I've activated this in English, and just to get back to the new vendor, I can add a new classification, and here I can now select the English classification model. I can answer that. I will be presented for the questions defined, and based on these questions, I can now submit and get another score and another risk level on the vendor. Scores, risk levels, and so on will also be shown in the overview, so you can always see the risk of all of your vendors. In another video, I will show you how to use these risks active when it comes to audits with vendors, because of course the risk level of your vendors will have a big impact on the audits that you will need to carry out with vendors afterwards.